I'm Piero Bonamico, one of the creators of the Choral Excellence series. Our mission is to help the world of choral music through the creation of meaningful, high-quality instructional materials and exciting choral performance videos. It's in this effort that I'm pleased to present Donald Nguyen's Choral Techniques and Methods. This series is designed to help choral conductors improve the quality of their rehearsals and performances by addressing some of the key issues of this complex art form. I never fully realized how powerful Donald Nguyen's choral techniques were when I was studying with him at the Eastman School of Music. It was only after I entered the field of choral music professionally and began using these techniques that I understood how essential they were. I'm confident that they will become a regular component of your conducting arsenal. Sopranos, altos, tenors, and basses all have different needs and problems that should be carefully addressed. That's the topic of this video, individual section characteristics. Here, you'll learn about the break in the female voice, nurturing young tenors, vibrato problems, and much more. Individual section characteristics. Section 1, Sopranos. A frosting on a rich cake of altos, tenors, and basses. Rules for singing above the staff and dealing with vibrato problems. Section 2, Altos. Addressing the break in the female voice. An exercise for bringing the top voice down, and additional alto concepts. Section 3, Tenors. The most fragile musical instrument. Developing head tone from falsetto. Section 4, Basses. Encouraging a lyrical bass sound.
There's 5 or 6 things we need to think about concerning sopranos. The first thing, the basic concept is to sing lyrically and possess a somewhat youthful freshness with great clarity, flexibility, and warmth. And let's stop right there. What does that mean? I told you this was Roger Wagner's sound. Robert Shaw's sound was this way. The reason they both start out like this is because, like trumpets in a band, that's all you'll hear if they play as loudly as everybody else is playing. So you have to be careful. They're heard, they're high, so the sopranos have to walk easy. They are the frosting on a rich cake of uniform alto, tenor, and bass. So we want them to sing lyrically, like everybody, but it's crucial for them. And it says possess a somewhat youthful freshness. What is that? That doesn't mean I want them to sound like kids or immature, but a youthful freshness, like I'm speaking right now, like that 65-year-old gal whose nickname was Happy that I told you about. I want them to sing like that, with substance to their tone and depth to their tone. I will frequently say, soprano, sing that again like a woman. Not like a little girl. Not a little girl. No, I didn't say an old woman or older woman, just like a woman. And then, oh, okay. But a youthful, for example, if I'm doing an all-state and the sopranos are forcing and singing they're trying to sound like women they've heard, and they're singing too loudly, which is usually the case, I'll say, would all you, and they're usually 11th and 12th graders, and they're good, Would you now sing that phrase and do an impression of the finest ninth grade soprano in America, and I'll say, who, by the way, would be better than any of you. So you better sing well, but sound like that great ninth grader. And boy, they sound gorgeous that time. Nobody's trying to manufacture some kind of an unnatural older sound anymore. And if I'm working with 1,000 Presbyterians at Montreat or something, and the women are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and there's too much of a labored soprano sound, I'll say, would all you women sing that again and sound like the best 19-year-old, best 18-year-old soprano in America? And all of a sudden they sound great for them, with a youthful freshness, not an immaturity, just a youthful freshness. It says 2 concepts prevail concerning singing above the staff. First, when sopranos sing above the staff, they should never sing louder than mezzo piano or mezzo forte, period. Even if it's Beethoven, when he's writing fortissimo for everybody and they're on a high B flat. Because if they sing equally as loud as everybody, there'll just be way too much soprano. You won't hear anything else, and the people will hate the sound. It's hard on your ears. You can't stand a police siren if you're on the street and it goes by. Ambulance. You don't like a trumpet playing way above high C screaming at you in a sound system. Well, you don't like sopranos screaming at you either like that up there high. So they have to be easy. You know, the only honest person in church are the little children. If there's a soprano solo singing and screeches out a high note, the little kid goes... Right. Everybody else wants to do that too. So there's just a rule in my choir: above the staff, mezzo piano and mezzo forte. The second thing about sopranos above the staff is that they compromise their diction toward ah. You know, coloratura sopranos, when they sing a duet with a flute and it's up above high C and all that stuff, they never sing words. They aren't even told what vowel to sing. They sing what they want to sing. Because it's been proven in the science of sound, which I don't understand, that pitches have sound waves and vowels, different vowels have waves. And there are some vowels that cannot be produced, even by a machine, up so high. So to ask for purity of vowels is something people can't even do up on B flat, A natural, A flat. So to ask for good diction up there is even more ludicrous. So above the staff, I just say, drop your jaw to what would be an ah vowel, which we'll talk about later, 2 fingers, and think the words and do what you want to do. Sometimes I'll have them actually cross the words out and write ah in, and they're not allowed to even think words. They just must sing ah if it's up around A natural and B flat. The audience will never know that that's what they're doing because the altos and men are singing the words. And if it's sopranos only and they're way above the staff, that's a bad composer. Don't do that song. This is for all singers, but especially sopranos need to slightly drop the jaw on ascending leaps into the upper range, like this. If you're singing an E vowel, you keep it the same, but it gets tense when you go to the high note. It's a simple matter of sound logic again. The higher a pitch goes, the more shrill it becomes. Trumpet, siren, soprano. The other rule is the bigger the thing or opening, the mellower the sound. Violin, viola, cello, bass. Trumpet, French horn, trombone, tuba. If that's so, the higher a pitch goes, the more opening the sound has to sound as good up high as you do down low. That says, on an ascending leap, drop your jaw. And have the back of the roof of the mouth up a little bit too for the opening and back. And then they sound as good up high as they do low. It's my job to see that they do that. Sopranos have vibrato problems. Probably 98% of all vibrato problems are in the soprano section. You seldom hear altos and basses and tenors with vibrato problems. But you do sometimes. But the reason is because sopranos sing too loud, too high, too young. That's it. Through junior high and high school and college age, they're singing too high, too loud. And so they're using the vocal cords in a manner that strains them and stresses them and forces them, and they're singing too old, and it's just becoming labored, and those vocal cords are just, it's killing them, and they're doing this. And you have to take a person to whom that has happened and have them sing mezzo piano for a while. No louder than mezzo piano, and take it easy and relax, and that goes away. When the soprano section has a vibrato problem, and we need to listen to them for that more than any other section, when they do, if you were to say, as I said earlier today, sing that again and picture a sky without any clouds. Feel relaxed and just listen to yourself. The vibrato goes away. The offensive vibrato goes away and becomes just a natural, pleasing vibrato, because it was the first time they were listening to themselves, and the first time maybe they weren't forcing. Forcing is what causes vibrato problems. And so you can't tell somebody to do something to fix a vibrato problem. You have to tell them to do nothing, to do less, to relax and listen, and then it goes away. Vibrato problems are also caused by voices that have not been used, have not sung for a while, and they're just out of shape, like the muscles in your legs. If you're going to start jogging, you have to get them in shape. So too with here. Also, if a person gets older, the vibrato gets a little wider. But it's usually due to over-singing or inactivity. We should not vocalize our choir higher than B flat. There's no reason to vocalize sopranos higher than B flat. The songs don't have notes in them that are higher than B flat. And so the biggest harm you can do in a situation when you're not hearing each individual person sing that high C is having them vocalize up to high C. You don't know whether they're hurting their voice or not. So B flat's plenty. And never loudly, because it's above the staff. In conclusion, it says, sopranos, without losing their spirit, vitality, animation, and overall energy, must take it easy. The break in the alto voice. Women, would you stand? I just want to find out how many women we have. How many of you are altos? Okay. Now, of all the sopranos standing, how many know what I mean about having a break in the voice where you have a chest or a lower voice, and then you have a break, and then you have your top voice for high notes? How many? High, so we can really see. Okay. That's the majority. Have a seat. That's good. We'll have you stand again in a minute. The left point of that is your lowest note, and then the highest note is where you have the most volume. You have the human voice has the least volume on its lower note. So it's like this. The higher you go, the louder you can sing. The lower you go, ya. The sopranos do most of their singing where they naturally have more volume than altos, especially young altos in junior high and high school, in those songs. What does the alto do? They're not aware that they're not singing as loudly as the sopranos, but they subconsciously, quite naturally, sing as loud as everybody else is singing. But their voice can't do that in that range. So they add extra speaking sound, extra breath, and manufacture a chest voice. And then this line that goes up like this looks like this. That shaded part is a chest voice superimposed over the regular voice to get that much volume on lower notes. And then at the part where the shaded area stops and the line continues to the right going up, that's where they have the break, and then they go into their, quote, upper voice, which they seldom use because the part doesn't go that high usually. That break is usually around A natural, A flat. When I started teaching high school, and I was tired of getting summer jobs working construction every summer, I offered my high school kids, I'll give you 10 voice lessons throughout the summer. You can have 10 days in a row, once a week for 10 weeks, on the other side of your family's vacation. I don't care what you... And I'll give you 10 voice lessons for X dollars. Well, I'd get 50 or 60 kids that would sign up for lessons. That meant and that was my summer job. That meant I gave 500 to 600 voice lessons in the summer at age 23, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I learned a lot. That was about 2,000 or 3,000 lessons in just a few years with high school age people. And the altos would come in with this break in their voice, and I never heard that before. It's that bad sometimes, especially in older women who have been using that chest voice for many years, and they're now 45 or 50, and like that piano or this shirt, anything that's manufactured gets worse as it gets older. The natural voice, that would improve every year you get older, but it's not used much. And the break becomes more obvious and bigger, and if they go in and out, it's that obvious to them. So I started asking some college voice teachers that I knew, what do you do about this funny break in the girl's voice? And I'd get answers like, I don't know. Or you smooth it over till you just don't hear it. One lady says you take that lower voice, that's the one that really gives you the sound, and you take it up as far as you can take it, and that's it. Which is, of course, the worst thing you can do. Then I read a book, accidentally, by Caruso's teacher, who said, the voice is to be one continuous voice from its lowest note to its highest note. Now, if you just use that voice and no other voice, no manufactured chest voice, your low notes aren't going to be very loud, are they? And no composer that's a good one writes middle C, B flat, and A flat for an alto and puts fortissimo by it. Or a low G for the basses and puts forte by it. Because they know that. Now, an anthem that could be written by an organist who doesn't know much about the voice might tell you to do that. There might be a rare occasion Beethoven might ask you to do that. If it happens, you put a couple of tenors on that lower note, or even some baritones on that middle C or B flat. But you don't ask the altos to sing in a horsey chest voice in order to accomplish it. Then if they sing in their regular, normal voice that looks like this, every year they sing it, that will get bigger because they're using it, just like they get taller by simply getting older. It gets bigger through use. The low notes will never be as loud as the high notes, but they'll be bigger than they were when they were young. And so they have to be taught to be patient, and so does the conductor. The conductor cannot ask for more sound from anybody's voice in the lower part of the range. Now, ladies, would you stand? We're going to sing from a high note, scale-wise, all the way down 2 octaves. We're going to go, ya. We'll hold the high note just a minute like, ya. And when you come down, start with your jaw open, 2 fingers like a good big ah. Sing above the cheeks. Everything you've been taught so far, animated and everything, do that on the high note, and then come down, and as you come down, soften down gradually like that diagram looked, and when you get to the middle of your range, don't jump up and sing in a chest voice. Stay under that chest voice and go all the way down. In your top voice, bring it down to the lowest note. Here we go. Here we go. Easy, easy, easy. Same thing. Careful. Careful. I heard some go in it right there. Heaviness. You're not allowed to do that. I'm sorry. Again. It's going to be hard because some of you haven't used that real voice in maybe 20 years. You got to sort of, where is that in there? I mean, how do I do that? You can do it again. In that voice, softly. Watch it. Stay in the head voice, and it cannot be loud. You're starting at the part of the V that's right here right now. Come on, focus, concentrate. Hold the high note an extra beat. Stay in the upper voice, feel it. Raise your eyebrows and feel it in the forehead. forehead. Now a little louder on the high note only. Because we're moving now. Good, that's good. Feel it in the forehead. A little louder on the second note now. Let the top note blossom. Easy on the first note. Open the back of your throat. Now full. Easy on the high note. Because we're above the staff. Open the back of the throat. Now you sang from high G to low G and back up again, and all in one voice, I think most of you did. And that's the voice. If you use only that voice and no other voice, it will grow and develop, and it will be beautiful, and it will be in tune, and you'll sing into old age. Have a seat. Young girls in elementary and middle school should not be assigned to sing alto on a permanent basis. There obviously are no altos, real altos, at that time. The procedure that will allow all girls to develop their full potential is to divide the girls into group A and B, or 1 and 2. And on this song, group 1 is the sopranos and 2 are the altos. On the next song, group 2 are the sopranos and 1 are the altos. They can all sing soprano and they can all sing alto. That way, every girl will develop their full range, and every girl will learn to read music. Altos should never consistently sing tenor. If the tenor part goes above the staff for a while and comes back down, that above the staff part is right in the middle of the alto range. That's easy for them to sing. Say from F, first space F for an alto, up to A flat or B flat. That's no problem. Have half the altos dip down and sing tenor for those 7 notes. That doesn't hurt them, and it helps the tenor section. But we would never ask altos to sing tenor because we're short of tenors. And these 3 women who've been singing this horsey chest voice all their life, who love to sing tenor and brag about it, have them just sing tenor all the time. They're singing in the worst part of their range. Now, if this is where the altos sing, here's where their voice is to sing with tenors, down here, and that's the worst thing we could do for an alto voice. So we don't let them do that. Once in a while I get somebody who comes in and auditions for the choir, a woman, and says, I sing tenor. I said, well, I believe you that you can sing tenor, but in this choir, if you wish to sing, you would have to sing second alto. Well, I can't sing alto. Okay, well, let's just vocalize and check your tenor range. Without saying so, I take her right up into the alto range. She does it just fine, and then I show her, you did that just fine. Don't want women in the tenor section. Okay, look. Altos tend to not sing very musically, or they tend also not to sing with a very beautiful, on-purpose tone quality. The reason is because nobody's ever asked them to. They're the section in the choir we don't have to worry about, right? They read, it's sort of the business section. That's right. That's right. They just get it. So, choir directors, me included, ignore them. We deal with the sopranos who are struggling with high notes, the basses and tenors who are dealing with all kind of problems. The alto part never goes high or low enough to give them a problem, except once in a while an E flat, and they think that's high, but it's rare. And so we ignore them. So nobody has ever taught them to sing, with a tone. And they can do that in high school. Not to sound older, just with a tone. I sing like this, I speak like this, I sing like this. The same thing. Most altos sing like they talk. Like that. Like I'm talking. That's what they use to sing in the choir. And the director has tuned them out so much that they don't even realize that. So we need to encourage them. Sing beautifully, altos. You can, and show them how, and teach them how, and relentlessly be with them like you are with everybody else. Secondly, the alto part is boring. in the younger years. Da 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 da. So they sing it just that way, boring. And we have to teach them to sing da 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 da. Know that your alto section will be meaningless if you don't do something about it. They'll never sound beautiful, and they won't sing musical unless you do something about it. Tenors. The young tenor voice is the most fragile musical instrument in all music, more than a Stradivarius violin, because it's the easiest to damage, and once it's damaged, the guy is stuck being a baritone with limited range the rest of his life. A lot of men, baritones, who can't sing low enough to really enjoy it, do so because their high school director forced them on their high notes all through high school. Even when I go out to do an all-state choir, which is the best tenors in any state, there'll still be guys in there going, ah, on the high notes. The key for young tenors is we substitute vitality for volume. Vitality, yes. Volume, no. Like this. Ya, ya. Just like that. 7 little guys doing just that will balance a 45 voice choir because of the color of that voice. It's just easily heard. It's bright and alive. Now, I'm not saying have them sing softer only. That would be, yeah. We'll sing the hell out of the soft. Yeah. And then their voice will grow and become, when they're 25, yeah. They'll have it there, but not till they're 25. Even freshmen in college have to sing light on the top part of their range. In that first little high school that I taught, that I told you about, there were no tenors in the choir. And when I recruited, I went to all the home rooms, and we got about 40, 45 in it, there still were no tenors. So the 7th and 8th grade were down in the basement of this one big building for junior high and high school. And the lady that taught 7th grade, Mrs. Clevenger, her son was principal trombone in the band, so I got to know her. She was like a grandmotherly type, and she was nice, and I liked her a lot, and I was new there and my first job. So I went down and said, Mrs. Clevenger, is there any chance, the choir meets 3 days a week at 8:30 in the morning, is there any chance that I could have some of your boys to be the tenor section in the high school choir? Sure, she was just wonderful. Sure, I'll do something else with the girls at that time. I said, could you take the girls out for a walk, and I'll audition your boys right now, and I'll pick 9 of them. There was no reason for the figure 9, I just said 9. Pick 9 of them. And she said, sure. She had a piano in her room, so the girls left. I said, boys, got some news for you. You're going to be the only people we allow to sing tenor in the high school choir this year are 7th grade boys, and it's going to be fantastic. We're going to do pop music and rock music. We're bringing a rock band in to sing. We're doing an exchange concert with another high school. We're singing at the halftime of the basketball game. It's going to be incredible. Stand, please. Vocalize. Da 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 da, and vocalize them. They didn't even know what they were doing. And then I said, you do it alone. Da 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 da. Good. You're next. Da 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 da. And I was just remembering who could match pitch. Da 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 da. Again, I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're the tenors in the high school choir. We'll start in 2 days. Thanks a million, guys, and left. They didn't even know what hit them. And those 9 boys were my tenor section for the rest of the year. So the next day at choir, I told the choir, we're having these 7th grade boys be our tenors. And I said, and you better treat them with respect, because if it wasn't for them, we couldn't do the music we're doing. So you appreciate every one of those fine young tenor boys. And they did. And it was great the rest of the year. But their sound, you can imagine what their sound was if I had them sing vitally. Falsetto, whatever it was. But it was like that. And they balanced all the rest of the 45 older kids. And ever since then, I've remembered. Don't force those high voices. Just add the spirit and the vitality and the freshness, and it'll be plenty of sound. And then as they get older, the voice will get bigger naturally, not because they made it get bigger. When boys are in junior high, high school, and maybe even freshmen in college, but for sure junior high and high school, they must use falsetto, both basses and tenors, in their high range. Now, unlike the break in the woman's voice, a guy can smooth that out so that when he goes, you won't hear that break you just heard with me, because I'm out of shape. If I practiced that for 1 week, just going in and out of it, I could do that and you wouldn't even hear the change. It would be that gradual. So when I taught high school, I would have my bass and tenors vocalize up to B flat with the sopranos in falsetto. There was never a note too high for the boys, because they went into falsetto number 1, and because we taught breath support and vitality number 2, the high notes were never flat. So high notes weren't a problem with those boys. Just no problem. Now, when a guy gets to be 18, he has to do what women don't do, and that's put this hook in the male voice, this added, ringing, resonant head voice, carried further than we carried it this morning, just saying, sing from here. Guys, would you stand, please? First of all, let me just demonstrate. If a guy does not use this, if he goes up in the same voice he had down low, like the ladies did a minute ago, they did all that in one voice. If a guy does that, he goes into a yell. He sings, ya, that. So in the midst of that, he has to begin getting it up here and getting it all up here in a ringing manner. Would you do the guys, do the aha again? Aha. Now sustain it a little longer, like aha. Aha. Let's do this. You're going to start out of the head with your head back, ya, and then you're going to glissando slowly, ya. So slow you can feel it and hear it go into the head. Ya. Lighter voice. Ya, not ya anymore. Now we can sing pure Y-A-H. Out of the head. Ya. You're going too fast. Go slower. Ya. Just the head up. So the sound is on purpose coming out of the chin, and then this way, so it's the unicorn coming right out of the head. Don't start too loudly. Loudness never helps anything. Now a little faster in the glissando one. Start out. Yeah, the get it right in there. Where are we? Not too loudly. Basses went up to high F. The tenors were around A. I didn't want to take you higher because we hadn't warmed up more than that. A flat, I think the tenors were. Now, how does a woman teach a man to do that? Isn't it funny that voice teachers teach all 4 categories? You ever hear of a violinist study with a cellist? Or a bassoonist study with an oboe teacher? Why is a soprano study with a bass? Because the voice teachers just want to do it all. I asked one of the voice teachers at Eastman while I was there, a very famous singer, said, why don't we just have sopranos teach sopranos, altos teach altos, tenors teach tenors, basses teach tenors, baritones teach baritones. Oh, that would be boring. Well, it isn't boring for the violin teacher, is it? A man can't know what it's like for a soprano to float a high B natural. There's no way I could ever know that. And there's no way a woman could know what it feels like to do what we just did. So one of the things that they did do at Eastman, the voice teachers got along beautifully. And they would take a singer and say, go study with teacher A for a few lessons, would you? And I'll tell them, I want you to work on head voice or German or whatever it is that... And they would toss their students back and forth, which is very, very rare. But they did that. But I think if you are a woman and you're teaching men, bring a guy in who's good at this to demonstrate and work with your guys. And if you're a male conductor, bring a soprano or an alto in once in a while and have her work with the women so that they get these things. Let's talk about... Basses are the least problem. Amen. Yeah. Not socially, vocally. It's hard to hurt a bass voice. It's just hard to hurt a bass voice. Where the tenors can only sing forte from, say, F to B flat. Bum, 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 right in there. B flat below middle C to F below that. Then they have to diminuendo like crazy, the top notes, and diminuendo like crazy, the lower notes. The bass can extend that to an octave. From B flat to B flat, they can sing forte, and then soften down and soften down if they're young. If they're older, then they can go powerful, like this. But I can ask high school basses to sing la 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 la. That won't hurt them a bit, and they can do it. Where I would never ask other young voices to do the same thing. The major problem with basses, they all want to sound like this all the time. And I remember when I took lessons in the 11th and 12th grade and a freshman in college with a teacher who wanted me to sing Caro mio ben. And I wanted to sing Caro mio ben, which I would do all week until my lesson. Because that just isn't fun, and nobody really explained why. And so guys don't like to sing that way. With the bass section, basses, would you just sit up? Would you sing Hallelujah, Hallelujah? Now, sing it well, but sing it as though it's produced back in the mouth, back in there. Hallelujah. Now bring it halfway between there and the front of your mouth. Not in the front, just halfway. Hallelujah. Now bring it right up and sing from your upper gums of the upper teeth. Sing well. Hallelujah. See, they can put it anywhere they want to put it. And thanks. And the more forward they put it, the better it is if it isn't exaggerated into bad idea. I always say basses should sound like French horns and trombones, not like tubas. Or they won't sound like our concept of singing, energy, beauty, and placement. They'll sound like something else over here. Lyrical bass singing, forward bass singing, right in the mask, right up here in the hard part of the nose up here, in the cheekbones, and the upper gums, right in there. Sit up again, guys, and don't just use this, but use all of this and sing Hallelujah with a drop jaw. Hallelujah. That's just the way the Wagner chorale and the Shaw chorale men sounded, just like that, because it's just the way they sang all the time. Back is fun for the singer. disaster for the chorus. It flats, the diction's lousy, doesn't blend with anything, no good.